You know, in the crazy world of event planning, we're always having these quick conversations just to get things done, right? But what if that handshake deal or that quick phone call is actually kind of dangerous? Today, we're going to dig into the silent risk of these verbal confirmations and figure out how to protect yourself, your clients, and, yeah, your events.
How many times have you heard this one? Or, let's be honest, said it yourself? It feels good, doesn't it? It sounds like you're on top of things, moving fast. And then there's this one. A simple phone call just feels so much faster, so much more efficient than typing out some long email chain, especially when you're under the gun.
And the classic, that quick word you have with someone in passing during setup. Look, these phrases, they're like the shorthand of our industry. They help us coordinate really fast. But here's the kicker. They're also a massive professional risk.
So, let's break this down. What are we really talking about? A verbal confirmation is basically any agreement that you don't write down. It feels quick, it feels personal, but here's the problem. What you say out loud is hardly ever structured, it's not recorded, and it's definitely not synced up across the whole team. And we're about to see why using your memory is just a terrible event management system.
So, first up, the silent risk. I mean, why do we even do this? In a job where every single detail matters, why do we lean so hard on just talking? Well, it actually has everything to do with the nature of the job itself.
You know what it's like? Events move at the speed of light, changes happen on the fly, and you have to make decisions like right now. So it just feels easier to pick up the phone or shoot off a quick voice note or just grab a supplier while you're both standing in the venue. And look, the conversation itself isn't the problem. The problem is when that chat replaces a real, structured, documented confirmation.
And that leads us straight to the heart of the issue, what I call the memory gap problem. This is where the real danger is, because our memory, especially when we're stressed out, is just, well, it's not reliable at all. Think about how easy it is for things to go wrong. A supplier might hear 80 chairs when you said 18, or they might just assume you want the exact same setup as last year's event. And here's the crucial part. Even if they remember it perfectly, does that info actually make it to their team? You tell the catering manager about a new allergy, but does the kitchen staff ever actually hear about it? Probably not. And that's exactly where the misalignment starts.
Okay, next up, let's talk about the cost of ambiguity. Because that misalignment we just mentioned, it comes with a pretty serious price tag. And we're not just talking about little mix-ups here. We're talking about real damage to your business and your professional reputation.
This is a perfect example of how easily it all falls apart. You say, we'll need a few extra tables, and you're thinking maybe 5. But your supplier hears that and just assumes you mean their standard 10% overflow, like always. You say, let's push the start time back slightly, and they hear the new start time is 8 p.m. sharp. See? Without something in writing, it's just your word against theirs. And when those disputes pop up, the fallout is instant. Suddenly, your great relationships with your go-to suppliers get strained. The bill comes, and it's a total mess. But honestly, the worst part? It can totally destroy the trust your client has in you, and that hits your professional reputation hard. And beyond your reputation, this stuff hits you right in the wallet. Think about it. Unapproved upgrades you suddenly have to pay for, the wrong number of items showing up leaving you scrambling, and those surprise labor charges for work that nobody ever officially agreed to. All of these costs come straight out of your bottom line, all because a conversation wasn't written down. So here's the bottom line. It all boils down to this. Real professional accountability is impossible without visibility. If nobody can see what was agreed upon, then really, who can be held accountable for it? Okay, enough about the problem, right? Let's talk about the fix. How do we get away from relying on our faulty memories and start building a system that gives everybody total, undeniable clarity? The solution is actually a pretty simple, structured system. It's built on 5 key pillars. 1. Every single change gets logged in writing. 2. All your suppliers access that info from one central hub. 3. You can actually track their digital confirmation. 4. Old instructions get automatically swapped out so there's no confusion. And 5. Everybody can see the exact scope of work. No guesswork. And you know what? The change in your mindset is this simple. You can absolutely still have that quick phone call, but it has to be followed by this phrase right here. This little piece of discipline turns a conversation that just vanishes into thin air into a permanent, reliable record. It's not about stopping the talking, it's about making it official.
So what's the reward for all this discipline? Well, we call it the confidence advantage. And trust me, it doesn't just change your process. It completely transforms that feeling of control and professionalism you bring to every single event.
I mean, just look at the difference here. You go from constant disputes to, well, basically none. From confusing, messy bills to totally transparent billing. You stop giving reactive explanations for what went wrong and start with documented clarity from day one. And this is the big one. You turn your client's anxiety into total, unshakable confidence. This is the real upgrade. You stop being a firefighter, constantly running around putting out fires and explaining why things didn't go to plan. Instead, you become a leader who has a system that makes sure things go right, and you've got the documents to prove it.
So, if you take just one thing away from our time together today, please let it be this. The single most powerful, game-changing upgrade you can make to your whole process is to replace your reliance on memory with a commitment to structure. And that just leaves us with one last question for you to think about. I want you to take a really hard, honest look at your own workflow. Is it built on the super fragile foundation of memory, or is it built on the solid bedrock of documented clarity? Because honestly, the answer to that question is going to define the future of your events and your career.